boss. Everybody know that my crew go home. We in the bank, no more hard, no more hammer. Like spin the rage, this is Hamilton and Elmer. They say we sold out, I said we got the bill, though sold out. Storing cash and chase, so we dropping in the bar, but they hearts for the liquor. I be on the party, but I used to ride the metro. And who get like me? Jerk low buck, head jockey. Ranger, we so fly. Break your neck every time we walk by. No jail, we got bars. Everybody know that my crew go home. We in the bank, no more hard, no more hammer. Like spin the rage, this is Hamilton and Elmer. They say we sold out, I said we got the bill, though sold out. Storing cash and chase, so we dropping in the bar, but they hearts for the liquor. I be on the party, but I used to ride the metro. And who get like me? Jerk low buck, head jockey. Ranger, we so fly. Break your neck every time we walk by. No jail, we got bars. Everybody know that my crew go home. We in the bank, no more hard, no more hammer. Like spin the rage, this is Hamilton and Elmer. They say we sold out, I said we got the bill, though sold out. Storing cash and chase, so we dropping in the bar, but they hearts for the liquor. I be on the party, but I used to ride the metro. And who get like me? Jerk low buck, head jockey. Ranger, we so fly. Break your neck every time we walk by. No jail, we got bars. Everybody know that my crew go home. We in the bank, no more hard, no more hammer. Like spin the rage, this is Hamilton and Elmer. They say we sold out, I said we got the bill, though sold out. Dropping in the bar, but they hearts for the liquor. I be on the party, but I used to ride the metro. And who get like me? Jerk low buck, head jockey. Ranger, we so fly. Break your neck every time we walk by. No jail, we got bars. Everybody know that my crew go home. We in the bank, no more hard, no more hammer. Like spin the rage, this is Hamilton and Elmer. They say we sold out, I said we got the bill, though sold out. Storing cash and chase, so we dropping in the bar, but they hearts for the liquor. I be on the party, but I used to ride the metro. And who get like me? Jerk low buck, head jockey. Ranger, we so fly. Break your neck every time we walk by. No jail, we got bars. Everybody know that my crew go home. We in the bank, no more hard, no more hammer. Like spin the rage, this is Hamilton and Elmer. They say we sold out, I said we got the bill, though sold out. Storing cash and chase, so we dropping in the bar, but they hearts for the liquor. I be on the party, but I used to ride the metro. And who get like me? Jerk low buck, head jockey. Ranger, we so fly. Break your neck every time we walk by. No jail, we got bars. Everybody know that my crew go home. We in the bank, no more hard, no more hammer. Like spin the rage, this is Hamilton and Elmer. They say we sold out, I said we got the bill, though sold out. Storing cash and chase, so we dropping in the bar, but they hearts for the liquor. I be on the party, but I used to ride the metro. And who get like me? Jerk low buck, head jockey. Ranger, we so fly. Break your neck every time we walk by. No jail, we got bars. Everybody know that my crew go home. We in the bank, no more hard, no more hammer. Like spin the rage, this is Hamilton and Elmer. They say we sold out, I said we got the bill, though sold out. Storing cash and chase, so we dropping in the bar, but they hearts for the liquor. I be on the party, but I used to ride the metro. Who get like me? Jerk low buck, head jockey. Ranger, we so fly. Break your neck every time we walk by. No jail, we got bars. Everybody know that my crew go home. We in the bank, no more hard, no more hammer. Like spin the rage.
Come around. Do that again. That was cold.